What is going on, Notre Dame fans? If you were expecting to see Mike Singer and Jack Sobel like you do every Thursday after Marcus Freeman's short Zoom press conference, well, you get me instead. Mike is going through the hurricane down there in Florida. He may or may not lose his power. We didn't want to risk that. So you get the Hey Horka squad today to talk about what Marcus Freeman talked about in his 12-minute or so press conference. But first, we want to direct you guys to blueandgold.com. If you have not subscribed to blueandgold.com, now is a very good time to do so. You can get 50% off an annual membership with the code GOIRISH. Just go to the link in that tweet that you guys are seeing right there at BGI News. Go to that tweet, or you can just go to blueandgold.com and it'll direct you there as well. But you want to make sure you go to an annual subscription, type in Go Irish, and you will get 50% off. All right, Jack. Like I said, Marcus Freeman talked for about 12 minutes today. I think something that he said the least about is something that Notre Dame fans are going to care the most about this weekend. Are the Irish players wearing green jerseys this week, Jack?
They are. The green jerseys are back. They wore them against Ohio State. Result of that game notwithstanding. And they're bringing them back for the Irish wear green game, which I personally would applaud. I think it would be kind of silly to hold Irish wear green and then be the Irish and not wear green. So Freeman said Monday that the captains would decide that in, I think, a meeting pretty soon after that press conference ended, and they decided to bring back the green jerseys for Saturday's game against Louisville.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if it's your Irish wear green game, you got to lean into that fully. And Marcus Freeman kind of brought this back a couple of years ago against Cal, because if you remember, I believe in Brian Kelly's 12 years, Notre Dame only wore green 6 times. 5-1 record, by the way. We do have a story about this on blueandgold.com. If you want to know the records, how Notre Dame fares, if you're the superstitious type, we've got records there. But Marcus Freeman has fully leaned into this, and this is the third time in as many years that Notre Dame will be wearing green for the Irish wear green game, so it makes sense. I think some people were thinking, oh, he's going to do the Lou Holtz thing. I think it was Lou Holtz, or was it Dan Devine? You guys know better than I do. Way back, I mean, we were not born. I think we were 20 years from being born. Jack, you were probably 30 years from being born. Where they came out in the blue traditional jerseys to warm up, and then they went into halftime and came out, and I think it was a USC game, and switched into the green jerseys. Before the game, they came out to warm up in the blues, and then came out. Here come the Irish. They're wearing green. It was a big deal. I think some people were thinking that was going to happen. But I don't know. I kind of like Freeman just coming out and saying, yeah, we're wearing them. So people have 2 days to kind of, like I said, lean into that. One thing that I will say, we have it on decent authority at Blue and Gold from a source that it's not going to be these jerseys that you see here. These were different from the ones that they wore against Cal as well, the Ohio State ones. We're thinking it's going to be green jersey tops with white pants. I don't know if you're a jersey snob, Jack, but do you like that green on top and then the pants are white on the bottom?
Yeah, I think I like that. I'm interested to see like how the whole look works in the daytime, because we didn't get that last year. But interested to see how it looks. I think the main complaint from last year's green jerseys was that they were almost like too, like the whole getup was just too green. It was like overwhelming.
Sam Hartman looked like an elf, right?
Yeah. I think it's going to look good with the green jerseys, white pants.
All right, now let's talk about someone who maybe will wear a green jersey next year, Jack, if Notre Dame does another Irish wear green, which it seems like I said, Marcus Freeman's leaning into that. They will do that. Jordan Botelho, he's out for the season, significant knee injury. We're not going to see him in 2024. We could see him in 2025. What did Marcus Freeman have to say about that?
Yeah, Marcus Freeman was asked, like, maybe it's a little too early to discuss, but like, could Jordan Botelho come back? And Freeman said he can if he wants to, which is significant because you never know, like, when these injuries happen or when guys had the COVID year, whether the team would actually want them back. And Marcus Freeman made it clear that, like, if Botelho wants to come back, he's back. Whether that ends up happening is entirely up to Jordan Botelho and what he wants to do with his future. And Freeman also made sure to point out that, like, the main thing right now is just supporting him as he undergoes surgery. I don't think we know if that's happened yet, but if it hasn't, it probably will pretty soon. And as he starts his recovery from the knee injury he had, I think it could be an interesting dynamic, because while Botelho was playing really well, I think Notre Dame anticipated Boubacar Traore taking over that starting Viper role in 2025, and I don't think Botelho coming back would change that plan. So the question is like, would they maybe have Boubacar put on 10 more pounds and play strong side end? Would Botelho want to come back to be a backup? There are a few factors at play here, but the number one is that Botelho has a spot on the roster if he wants to come back, and I think that's important.
Yeah, it could be a very crowded situation at Viper, considering Traore seems like he's built to play that position. Logan Thomas, a little more slender, but that lends itself to playing that position. You're not going to see him move to strong side end, but you do think that he's going to grow into a player that can play there. Junior Tui Halamaka just had the best game of his career at that position. You think he's at least a 4-year guy? He's going to be back probably. A lot going on there, but you can't discount how well
Yeah.
Botelho was playing. Like if you get that version of him back in 2025, that's got to be why Marcus Freeman is saying, we'll take you, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think again, we said it when he got hurt. They had a really good thing going with Botelho starting and Boubacar coming in as a rotational guy. But I mean, with the way Boubacar had played this week, like he's in the starting lineup until he eventually moves on to the NFL and becomes a pretty high draft pick. So I'm interested to see how this plays out this offseason. I'm honestly kind of talking myself into the idea of Boubacar bulking up, playing strong side end, but then Josh Burnham and Bryce Young are still there. So
Yeah.
So who knows? At the very least, like the knowledge that Botelho can come back if he wants to is good news. If he does for the depth of that position, and obviously great news for Botelho because the more options he has, the better, because he deserves it after the start to the season he had and sticking out at Notre Dame for so long.
Good problem for Marcus Freeman out of Washington to have ton of options on both sides.
Correct.
Maybe you don't have to take a transfer at strong side end for the first time in what would be 3 years. So let's stick with something that pertains to defensive line play and really across the board at all three levels, Jack. D-line, linebackers, safeties. We're talking about Notre Dame's running defense. And I preface this with that because Marcus Freeman was asked today, what is something that needs to improve from a Notre Dame defense that has already been very good this year? Notre Dame is one of 8 to 10, maybe it's 10 programs in the FBS right now, Jack, that has allowed 3 or fewer touchdowns. Obviously, you're doing something right, but when he was asked, hey, what needs to improve? He said run defense. Do you agree? And if so, I think you do. Why is that?
Oh, I 100% agree. And I think Freeman pointed out that, like, sometimes tackling needs to be better. I think more often the run fits up front need to be better. And again, it's such a weird dynamic because it's hard to criticize the defense because they've been clearly the superior unit, as I think we all knew they would be. At least at the start of the season, and the pass defense is like as close to flawless, besides that one play in the NIU game, that a unit can be. But yeah, the run defense needs to control the line of scrimmage more. Freeman talked about like being greedy. Like we don't want to allow any yards on the ground, is what Freeman said. They should be fitting the run and tackling at a higher level. And I think against a team like Louisville, who Notre Dame knows as well as anyone else, Louisville gashed this team on the ground last year. And even though the running back Jordan Jordan isn't back, Isaac Rendo is not back. They did a really nice job reloading up front. They got Michael Gonzalez, an All-ACC honorable mention, guard back. They did very well in the transfer portal, picking up 3 starters, maybe 4 at this point. But yeah, this Louisville run, this Louisville run game is going to be good, and Notre Dame needs to do a better job of stopping it than they did last year.
One thing I'll add from a Notre Dame side is the defense needs to play the run like they're in the red zone all the time. Because, Jack, I just did the rewatch against Miami, Ohio. And once Miami, Ohio got down there, they couldn't get anything on first and second down, and sometimes just first down. And then Miami, Ohio went pass, and you're not going to pass your way into the end zone against this Notre Dame team. So if Notre Dame could just tighten up between the 20s, the old cliche, I think they're going to be doing great things in the run game going forward this season. They have the tools. They just got to do it.
It's something that we talked about in Hey Horka, and that like the red zone defense is so hard to beat that if Notre Dame can just bend but don't break, like they just can't have any of the big plays like they allowed against NIU, because they're pretty much impossible to pass on in the red zone. and the run defense really turned it up a notch when they get down there. So if they avoid the big plays that go for 6, I think they're in good shape.
Well, that's going to do it for me and Jack here today, talking about what Marcus Freeman said in his Thursday press conference, his last media availability before Notre Dame takes on Louisville on Saturday. Really a make or break game for Notre Dame on Saturday, Jack. I'm excited to see how that comes about, and we will see you guys after the game and really in the next 2 days leading up to the game as well for coverage at blueandgold.com and here at this YouTube channel. So stay with us, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be a big one.